Welcome to this forum for Oakland County Treasurer and Oakland County Water Resources Commissioner. Today is June 27, 2024. This forum will feature the 4 candidates who have filed for Oakland County Treasurer. There are 2 Democratic candidates and 2 Republican candidates. You will vote for one for a 4-year term. After a short break, we will feature the 4 candidates who have filed for Oakland County Water Resources Commissioner. There are 2 Democratic candidates and 2 Republican candidates. You will vote for one for a 4-year term. The sponsor of this forum is the League of Women Voters, Oakland area. I am Kath Maisner, a member of the League of Women Voters. I am not a resident of this district. The League of Women Voters is a trusted, national, nonpartisan political organization. Our members do the hands-on work to safeguard democracy. While we never endorse a candidate, we are directly involved in shaping the important issues that keep our communities strong. As a League of Women Voters member, I have the opportunity to contribute in a leadership role such as this that has great impact on local, state, and even national issues. If you are interested in learning about how you can make a similar impact, I would encourage you to visit our website at lwvoa.org. The League of Women Voters does not endorse any candidate or political party. The views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates, and the sponsors take no responsibility. The format for this forum has been established by the League. We ask that the audience remain silent during the forum. Please turn off all cell phones. We ask that candidates answer the questions with their views only and do not interrupt another candidate. The questions are asked to all candidates and do not single out any one candidate. This presentation is copyrighted 2024 by the League of Women Voters. All rights are reserved. All candidates will be answering questions submitted by the audience and screened for duplication and appropriateness by Judy Bateman and Maxine Monshine. Our pages, Maria Wollison and Belinda Fries, will be circulating with paper and pencils for your questions. Please turn your questions into the pages. The format is as follows. All candidates will be given 1 minute for opening statements in alphabetical order by party. Closing statements will be 1 minute in reverse order. Candidates will have 1 minute to answer each question in rotation unless extended by the moderator. All candidates will be allowed equal time to answer questions. Our timer is Linda Roney. The candidates for treasurer are Democrat Robert Wittenberg, Republican Susan Kuhn. Also on the ballot are Republican Donna Blake and Republican Isaiah Hellner. We will begin the opening statements with Mr. Wittenberg, then Ms. Kuhn's. After that, I will read a statement that was submitted by Donna Blake. Mr. Wittenberg, would you like to begin?
I would love to. Thank you so much. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this, and thank you for everyone that's watching this here and at home, and for educating yourself for this election. I'm Robert Wittenberg. I am currently the Oakland County Treasurer, so I was first elected to this position in 2020, and I served 6 years prior to that as a state representative in Southern Oakland County. I'm from here in Oakland County. I went to Berkeley High School, and all through the Berkeley schools, raising our 2 beautiful and excitable children here in Oakland County as well. And so one of the things within the office, right, I truly care about the people that live in Oakland County and want to make sure that everyone is able to stay and thrive in our community and have the financial security. Oh, so I guess throughout, yeah, that was already a minute? Okay, I didn't see the time. I'm sorry. I will get into the other points at a later time.
Sure.
Thank you.
Ms. Kuhn?
Yes, my name is Susan Kuhn. I live in Troy, Michigan. I have previously been elected to 8 years as an Oakland County Commissioner, working with Sheriff Mike Bouchard and former Oakland County Executive L. Brooks Patterson. Yes, during my 8 years as a county commissioner, I was rated by Civic Searchlight preferred and well qualified in my previous races. Yes, proven leadership ability as chairman of Community Development Advisory Council. Yes, academic excellence with a county economics degree from Albion College. Yes, 2023 volunteer for Cass Community Social Services, an amazing 501c3. Ask me about Mudmans. Yes, proud baby boomer with high work ethics and energy to get the job done. Ready, willing, and able to work for you and hit the ground running. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now read the statement that was submitted by Donna Blake. I am a highly accomplished financial professional and believe experience matters. My educational background includes a Bachelor of Accountancy from Walsh College, a CPA in the state of Michigan, an executive MBA from Michigan State. I've worked for the FBI as a forensic accountant and have had many years of experience in nonprofit and for-profit organizations as a controller, treasurer, CFO, and small business owner. Across the board, I will ensure our community's money is used wisely and responsibly. With my background in financial investigation with the FBI, I'll root out the misuse of funds. For example, we should not be spending county taxpayer dollars to resettle people entering our country illegally. Lastly, I will eliminate funding for DEI. Let's stop the racism and hire the best person for the job. You can learn more about me on Facebook at Donna Blake for Oakland County Treasurer. We will now begin the questions segment of our forum. Most questions will have a 1-minute time limit, and we will begin with Mr. Wittenberg. Mr. Wittenberg, what was your stance on the last transit tax?
I was supportive of it. I think transit is really important for the county. When you're building out transit, it creates jobs, but then also it provides access to jobs so that people all throughout the county can look outside of just their area, right? They can look for employment all throughout the county, and I think it's really important, and I think we saw that overwhelmingly that people throughout the county, it was put before the voters, and they had the opportunity to vote on it, and it passed. And even in communities that previously were their elected leaders were opposed to any kind of transit, it passed in those communities as well. So I think the people of Oakland County see the importance of transit. I see the importance of transit, and I'm really glad that we're starting to see transit expand throughout Oakland County.
Thank you. Ms. Kuhn?
Yes, I absolutely, totally agree that the mass transit is something that people vote on. They expect to be able to get to where they need to go. Now, whether that's SEMTA or whether it's the smaller versions of the little buses that take people different places that they need to be, but that's one of the things that I'm proud to say is our tax dollars at work, and that's something that is a good thing, and I don't think there's any disagreement at all on mass transit. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kuhn, you will have the next question first. What is the biggest hurdle treasurers have to overcome?
Well, since I am not the treasurer, I am going to give you my opinion, and I think the taxes coming in to the treasurer's office are pretty much predetermined. One of the things that is not predetermined is foreclosures, and that's one of the things that starts out as a problem when you can't pay your taxes and you have a foreclosure, and then what happens to your property? Does it get sold? What happens to it? And there's a very lengthy process, and that's one of the things that I think is a problem that I do want to investigate more. I've heard some rumors that some foreclosure property pieces have been sold for way higher than what the people owed, and they didn't get their money back. And that's all I want to say about it right now. But I think on the whole, Oakland County does a great job.
Thank you. Mr. Wittenberg.
Thank you for that. And we have a little agreement on that I think, foreclosure is probably the biggest issue facing the treasurer and the work that we do within our office. I always say that our job is to collect taxes, not to foreclose. Foreclosure is the last case scenario. And so we do everything we can to try to prevent foreclosure. I'm proud to say that the last 2 years, and I've been in office for 3 years, the last 2 years we've had the lowest number of foreclosures ever in Oakland County since we implemented the new law in 2001. We really did a robust outreach, so I went and spoke to city council meetings and township meetings and really got out there to let people know that our office is there to help. And then as far as what she alluded to with selling the properties, this is the law and how it's set up in the state. However, it changed while I was in the legislature. I voted to actually amend the law so that if someone does lose their property to foreclosure, that it goes to an auction and they now have a recourse to be able to claim their surplus funds. So that is something that I worked on when I was in the legislature, and that's something we do now. Again, foreclosure is the last case scenario. We are trying to prevent all foreclosures from happening, but if it does happen, there is now recourse for people to be able to get their surplus funds. They have to submit a claim form. This is a plug for those of you who are here. If you're at home, you might not see this, but July 1st is the deadline to submit that form.
Thank you. Next question is to you, Mr. Wittenberg. Does Oakland County have a surplus? And if so, how should it be spent?
Can you say that again?
Does Oakland County have a surplus?
Oh, surplus, okay.
And I'll repeat it also for you, Ms. Kuhn, when it's your turn if you would like.
So we do. Oakland County does have a surplus. We have our surplus funds, and actually the treasurer is in charge of investing the surplus funds. And at the end of the day, the treasurer is not the person who decides where the money goes. That is a process, right, an appropriations process that the county executive, along with the legislative arm of the county, so our county commissioners, work on the appropriations and where those funds go. The treasurer ultimately is in charge of the budget within their own office, just like all the other countywide elected officials are in charge of their budget, and then also writing the checks as they need to go out and collecting the money as it needs to come in. And so our job is to invest that. So as far as what to invest in and where that money should go, that's a conversation where I can try to speak with our county executive and our county commissioners about what's important and what we can be doing. But at the end of the day, it's not the treasurer's decision to make. And thankfully, we do have a surplus. We're in a good position, and we invest that money, and we have a really large rainy day fund. So it's really good for us.
Thank you. Would you like the question repeated, Ms. Kuhn?
No, I understand it. Yes, the surplus has been in Oakland County since I was an Oakland County Commissioner with L. Brooks Patterson, and Oakland County does a very, very good job of keeping a tight rein on our money and investing it in proper things, whether it's the CDs or whatever the different property things are that we buy and reinvest in. But the fact that Oakland County does have a balance with the Board of Commissioners, with the county executive, and the treasurer's office is like a threefold group watching that money, making sure we're doing the right things. And the tax money that does come in is fair, I think, for almost all the citizens in all the communities. And we keep it and we watch it, and it's transparent, I guess that's what I'm trying to say, between the Board of Commissioners, where I served for 8 years, the county executive, and the treasurer's office.
Thank you. Ms. Kuhn, you will get the next question first. In this case, I'm going to change the wording a little bit. How would you help residents who can't pay their taxes?
That's a hard one because with businesses closing, with so many hardships going on with the economy at the federal level and coming down to the state level and the county level, I just think the most important thing is to watch your money, watch out for scams, and this is one of the things that I'm on the City of Troy Senior Advisory Committee, because there's so many people out there trying to scam people, to get their money, to take their money and put it on the PayPal cards and all these cards and send them off to people. And that's just so sad, because it does happen from time to time. But how would I personally help somebody? Number one is education. Number two is being accessible. And number three is being compassionate. And my literature says Susan Kuhn cares, and that's one of the things I have on open door policy, and just want to let people know that there's someone out there to listen to them and get them fixed before it's a big problem.
Thank you. Mr. Wittenberg, how are you helping residents who can't pay their taxes?
Yes, I appreciate that question. And that is something that, I ran on when I first ran 4 years ago, and something that is so important in our office is that we want people to be able to thrive in our communities. We are, for the most part, an affluent county, but not everybody, right? And we want to make sure that everyone is looked after and taken care of within our community. So as I talked about with preventing foreclosure, that's kind of the main thing within our office. Having the lowest foreclosure numbers that we've had under the new law, I think really speaks to the work that we're doing, getting out in the community and letting people know that we are here to help, that we are a resource for them, that the government is looking out for them. We have a financial empowerment center within our office, which is like a financial coach that helps people. We try to get people in touch with grants that might be available to them, any other resources that are available to them. Within our office, with the tax process, I don't have enough time to talk about the whole process, but ultimately with the foreclosure process, it's a 3-year process. We cannot forgive taxes, interest, fees, things like that, but we can give people more time to pay. So we are lenient with people. We want to balance compassion with accountability, and that's what we're doing in our office.
Thank you. You'll get the next question first, Mr. Wittenberg, and it is, why should foreclosed homeowners have to complete a form? Couldn't and shouldn't the payment be automatic if there is an excess?
That's a great point, and that might as well be someone from our office that wrote that question, because that's something I believe as well, that it's kind of an arduous process, and it's actually a legal process. They have to go through a judge and file a case, with the judge, and we don't believe that's the case. We believe if they can prove that they had some kind of interest in the property, a right to the property, that they should be able to get that money, and it shouldn't have to go through this process, because it's a year-long process even after the property is sold at an auction. So that is something that I have actually started having conversations with our legislators. I mean, this is a relatively new law, so talking to some of our legislators, some of my former colleagues in the legislature, talking to them about how we can make this process a lot easier and expedite the process so that people that are entitled to surplus from their property are able to get that money sooner.
Thank you. Ms. Kuhn?
And basically, pretty much the same thing. The payment should be automatically back to the people if their property sold for 3 times more than what they owed on it, and how fast can they be reimbursed, and whether it's an automatic payment into their accounts or having them come in and get a check, whatever it is. But because it takes so long, as we know, for the foreclosure to go through all the steps and then the auction and different things like that. But I do applaud having this relatively recent law where the homeowner is entitled to their money back. And whether it's automatic or what, as long as there's current communication and they're entitled to the money, it's just the timing of getting their money.
Thank you. You'll get the next question first, Ms. Kuhn. What are your views on DEI, and how should DEI impact the treasurer's office?
To me, that's a big, hot potato. Diversity, inclusion is something that it should be not based on the color of your skin. It should not be based on your religion or your age. It should be based on merit, and it should be based on your qualifications and your education and background and what you can bring to the job or the position or the opening, rather than what some letters define you as with diversity or religion or age. Because I know that when you are in real estate. You can buy a house, anybody can apply for any mortgage, anytime, any place, and it should be the same for any job, anywhere. And this DEI, I think, is wrong, and I'm standing against DEI.
Thank you. Mr. Wittenberg, what are your views on DEI, and how does DEI impact the Treasurer's Office?
Well, I appreciate this question, and unfortunately, as we look back on our history as a country, right, there's been racism rooted in our country for a long time. When you talk about, especially specifically in the world that we're in the Treasury world, racial covenants in housing. We had all the sundown towns where people would be kicked out based on the color of their skin. And so this is something where it's really important that we are intentional about making sure that everyone is part of the process, that everyone has an opportunity, knowing that history, right? And I can't really elaborate too much on this because we only have a minute, but I think it's really important for us, and that's something, we're very intentional that in our office that we want to make sure the people working in our office reflect the people that live in Oakland County. I sit on the retirement board by virtue of the office. I'm a trustee on our retirement board, and that's something that we're looking at in our investments. Obviously, we have a fiduciary duty, and we're looking at the bottom line, but also how are we being better about the people that live within our communities and people that have been disadvantaged for a long time, and making sure that they have the opportunities.
Thank you. You'll get this question first. What are some of the biggest financial challenges to Oakland County citizens in the next few years?
So the challenges for residents with the pandemic, right? So we're more or less past the pandemic. I mean, obviously COVID is still around, but for the most part, we've gone back to kind of normal in society. But it had a lingering effect on people financially. There were safety nets that were put in place at the federal government with the CARES Act and the other safety nets that were put in place at the federal government. And so we have to make sure that people have resources to be able to continue paying their bills. We want to make sure that people have opportunities. Again, transit is one of those things, finding opportunities and jobs. Housing is something that's really important. We started a land bank here in Oakland County, which can help with developing housing. But I think it's really important that we are mindful of that, right? That people had a tough time. There were these safety nets that were put in place that are no longer there, and do what we can to support everyone that's living in our community, and making sure they're aware of resources. There are still resources that are available to people, and I think that's our job as elected officials, as a government agency, to make sure people know everything that's available to them.
Thank you. Ms. Kuhn?
Yes, pretty much the same thing. I hear so much about the kids these days that are out of college, getting a job, getting married, wanting to buy a house, can't afford a house. And this is sad. And it's true, though. And so that's one of the things, a biggest challenge for the next few years is to make sure that there are opportunities, that there are houses that people can afford, that the interest rates aren't so sky high, and that there's communication and housing, whether it be apartments or the tiny houses that are so popular in Detroit that are coming here, and just a little bit of money challenges. Housing is the most important, but I think job retention is too. And the safety nets, of course, that we had in the pandemic, of course, did hurt so many, or the pandemic did hurt so many people, and we're just starting to get back on our feet right now. We don't need any more high interest rates, and that's one of the things that I think in this coming election that's going to be a big, big issue. Thank you.
Thank you. You get this question first, Ms. Kuhn. How will the Headley rollback calculation and the limitations for property tax revenue over the next 5 years affect Oakland County? You want me to repeat that?
No, the Headley rollback has been around for a long, long time. And that's something that was passed at the state of Michigan. And at this point, I'm really not sure how it affects the treasurer's office. I just know that it is an important financial ceiling that we can't go above the Headley percentages. At this point, I'll just defer it to our treasurer because I have not worked with the Headley Amendment on Oakland County Treasury issues. But I know it was a good amendment.
Okay. Mr. Wittenberg, would you like me to repeat it?
Please.
How will the Headley rollback calculation and the limitations for property tax revenue over the next 5 years affect Oakland County?
Well, so, how it works with Headley and Proposal A, right, the taxes can only go up each year the lower of inflation rate or 5%. So it's the lower of the two. I think, as I was serving in the legislature and even now representing all the different municipalities here in Oakland County, I think most people will say how our tax system, our property tax system is a little bit archaic. I think it's something that needs to be addressed in the legislature. One of the issues is the cities sometimes get handcuffed and they don't have enough. And also, you have people who want to, stay in our community that want to age in the community. But if they end up selling their home, they've lived in their home for years and their taxes were capped, which is a good thing. But if they want to go elsewhere, then the taxes could be astronomical for what they're buying. It also discourages people at times from making updates to their house. So there are a lot of things that I think need to change with the law. And so this is something that is a conversation, and it does impact Oakland County residents especially.
Thank you. You get this question first. Do you foresee any new millages, and if so, what would they be for?
That's a good question. At the end of the day, it's not our office that's making that decision. We're not the ones that are putting that out there. That would be something. It would be a vote of the people. It would be the Board of Commissioners and the county executive who's doing that. We've seen with transit. We have the arts, the zoo, other entities as well. That people are paying towards. One of the things I think was discussed and possibly down the road, I think is a possibility might be parks, something towards our parks. I mean, we do have beautiful parks here in Oakland County, but we want to make sure that they stay beautiful. Like everything else, there's aging infrastructure, and we want to make sure that our parks are top-notch. And so that's something I think that, we could possibly see would be a parks millage at some point. But other than that, I would just be speculating if there were other things in the works.
Thank you. Ms. Kuhn?
Yes, basically the same thing. When I was on the Board of Commissioners, that was one of the things that we tried really hard not to have millage increases. But because the Board of Commissioners doesn't handle it totally, it is the parks, it is the mass transit, like the first question was, the SEMTA buses and getting to where you need to go, as well as Wayne, Oakland, Macomb County have a tax for the DIA to go down there, and different local taxes, and then you get into the Drain Commission and the parks. But the fact that we have tightened our belt, we look around, and we know we're doing the right thing in Oakland County, and as long as we keep the taxes low and do not go on these spending binges like the federal government's doing, I think Oakland County is doing a great job. And I hope we have no new millages.
Thank you. You get the next question first. What is the investment policy of Oakland County? What do we invest in, and what should we invest in?
Well, since I am not sure, because I am not the incumbent treasurer, what we should invest in is our people. What we should invest in is our infrastructure. What we should invest in is our property as our boundaries of Oakland County, the parks, the people, the roads, the entire county. And we have county taxes, we have county representation, and we're doing a good job about it. But what is our investment policy? My personal policy is looking at CDs, the 60-day, 90-day, 180-day, and things like that for education and also for personal financial growth. And I'm sure that the Oakland County Treasurer's Office is into the same type of a thing. What's on the market? What can we put our money in? And what can we do to be safe and secure for our people? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wittenberg. Would you like me to repeat it?
No, I think I have that one, and I appreciate your answer there. And I agree with you on the things we should be invested in, and that's obviously more of a product of appropriation in our budget. The investment policy is specifically when we talked about those surplus funds, that's what we can invest in with our surplus funds, so the money that we don't need on a day-to-day basis. There is a state statute that governs what we can invest in. It's Public Act 20, and Public Act 20 tells us what we can invest in, and anything that's not listed there we cannot invest in. So we are trying to be very responsible with our investments. So the things we're invested in are federal agencies and treasuries and bank CDs and some very high-end commercial paper, and that's mostly it. With the investment, I'm happy to say that we updated our investment policy for the first time in 20 years while I was in office. What we kind of use it's SLY, safety, liquidity, yield. So making sure we are, first, safety is protecting taxpayer dollars, then liquidity is making sure we have the funds to pay our bills, and then yield is kind of that third leg in the tripod. So I'm proud to say that we updated our policy and that we follow that SLY model to look out for everyone's taxpayer dollars here in Oakland County.
Thank you. You get the first chance at this question. What do you think is a good percentage for a rainy day fund?
So it's a good question. There is a minimum that you usually look at, and obviously the state has their rainy day fund. Each county, we're kind of blessed here in Oakland County because we do have our rainy day fund. And I think, and again, offhand, I actually don't know the exact percentage, but I know that we are really financially, fiscally responsible at the county. We do a 3-year budget, but we also have, on top of our rainy day fund, we also have our delinquent tax revolving fund, and that's a fund that has over $200 million in it. And that's something that, I'm proud to say that we've kept our AAA bond rating. That's something we hang our hat on because of our fiscal responsibility that we have, and that's partially because we keep a good amount in our rainy day fund, but that's also that we keep the money in our delinquent tax revolving fund. So, we can get by in case of an emergency. So, we are well positioned here in Oakland County.
Thank you. Ms. Kuhn?
The rainy day fund is something that we take for granted in Oakland County because it's been there and we are proud to have it and we maintain it. We do not let it get spent for other things. Other counties are not so fortunate. They get maybe bullied to spend and buy this and do that. And at the state level it's worse. And at the federal government it's absolutely worse because there's more issues of spending money of things that are needed. But what has been discussed and is pretty public knowledge, Oakland County with the AAA bond rating, and that's why people move to Oakland County, because we're financially secure, we have great schools, we have great communities, great people, great parks, great mass transit, and everything is pretty darn good. But the fact that it's not that way everywhere. And so we are blessed that we have people in place that have been watching this for many years, and we just want to continue what we have and keep Oakland County great. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kuhn, you get first chance at this question. As treasurer, what is your role in county bonding, and how do we save money with our AAA credit rating?
The AAA credit rating, this is what we just talked about, is something that obviously we're very proud of, and having the research to confirm what is a good bond, what is a junk bond, what is something that's going to be there when we need the money back for payment of our pension funds in Oakland County or payment of other debts in Oakland County. And as the treasurer, I think we have a staff in place that does a darn good job watching the bonds, watching the CDs, watching what's going on financially, economically throughout the state, throughout the country, and investing where we need to invest in short-term and long-term to keep our country and our county safe and secure and financially stable. And as the treasurer, I think I would just look where we've been, look where we are going, and just make sure that we know what we're doing and have lots of input on lots of decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you. Mr. Wittenberg?
Will you repeat it, please?
I will. As treasurer, what is your role in county bonding, and how do we save money with our AAA credit rating?
Thank you. And so as the treasurer, that is part of our constitutional and statutory duties, is that we are kind of the debt manager for the county. And that's something that helps us, right, that we can borrow at a lower rate because we are rated AAA, the highest rating possible. So that saves taxpayer dollars, Oakland County taxpayer dollars, but it also helps our local communities as well because they can actually utilize our bond rating and lower, their payments as well. So I think that's something that's really important. We are mindful of when we bond. That's something that we have to make a decision right now with interest rates as high as they are. We're not out going, we're not bonding right now. But there was a different story when the interest rates are lower. And so that's something that we have to think about every time we're making that decision as to whether or not we will go out for bond. And so within our office, we're always considering that, if with our settlement that we do with our local communities, that delinquent tax revolving fund that I mentioned, we have $200 million that we have in there. We could go out to bond if we needed to, if there was a year where delinquent taxes that got turned over to us were so high, that is something we would consider. Thankfully, we've been blessed and we haven't had to, but that is something that we are mindful of.
Thank you. And you get the next question first. What changes have you made or would you like to make to the treasurer's office if you're elected?
Well, I appreciate that question, and my predecessor in this office, I think, was doing a good job. But coming in, I think I brought a fresh perspective, and there are quite a few things that we actually made changes within the office. And I think the biggest one that I can point to is, moving our effort more on the foreclosure prevention side. So we have a budget that we can use for the foreclosure prevention, but also if properties are foreclosed at the sale, right, the sale. And so I took all the funds that we could use towards the sale and move that on the other side to tax foreclosure prevention. And I think that's really important. So that was one thing when I came in. And again, happy to highlight that we have the lowest foreclosure numbers that we've ever had in Oakland County. So that was one thing. Also, efficiency and transparency in government as well. We have 2 new software systems that we're utilizing within our office that makes our office more accessible to people. And then it makes it more efficient, the work that we're doing. So there are quite a few things. Again, my time is running low, but those are a couple things that I can mention. So yeah, I know this is kind of like we're getting the firing squad. It's so quick, and I want to elaborate more, but for that one, that's.
Thank you, Ms. Kuhn.
I'm basically agreeing with what we're talking about here, and the treasurer's office has been run very well in Oakland County for several years. The foreclosure issue is top of the heap, as we've discussed for the last half an hour, and it's getting better. And that's the bottom line. It's getting better. One of the things that when I was at Oakland County on the Board of Commissioners, chairman of the Health and Human Services Committee, I would go out to different places and talk to them about what their needs are. I would go to Camp Oakland, go to Children's Village, and we took the whole committee and we'd go different places. And I know that's one of the things that Robert's doing, is going to the cities, because he was at Troy at when my State of the City address was about a month ago, so that was kind of interesting. But what changes would you make? Not anything really drastic, because if it's working, let it keep working.
I appreciate all your kind words.
Thank you, Mr. Wittenberg.
I think I started that one, so.
Oh.
Right, wait, what was the?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes, okay. Then, Ms. Kuhn, you get this question first. Why are you the best person for this office?
I am a Republican running against a Democrat incumbent, and basically I am here because I think I'm the best of the Republicans in this race. The other two obviously are not here. One sent a message, and that same person sent a video to the previous candidates night. I am running because I am qualified, I have a background, I have experience in finance, I have a background in government, Oakland County Board of Commissioners, and I'm ready, willing, and able to hit the ground running want to win August 6th and go on and have the same two of us here for the November debates. And I am a Republican, proud to be Republican, and that's why I'm running.
Thank you. Mr. Wittenberg?
So the specific question is why I think I'm qualified for?
What, Matt, why are you the best?
Why? Okay. Obviously, I can speak to what I'm doing in the office. I think having the experience of actually doing the job for 3 years is something that I think kind of, makes me qualified for this position. And things that I didn't get a chance to highlight at the beginning, I guess I screwed up with the time, and I apologize. But again, I've talked about the lowest foreclosure rating. I've talked about the AAA bond rating, our land bank, updating the investment policy, all the transparency within our office. But I like to think that we're balancing compassion with accountability in our office, that we can be fiscally responsible but also socially conscious. And I think that's what we've been doing within our office. And I enjoy this work. I love helping people. I love serving people. That's why I'm in public service, and I really want the opportunity to continue this work. And so I think because of my experience, because of the work that we're doing within our office to really do great things for the people of Oakland County, that I'm the best fit to continue serving in this role.
Thank you. And you get this question now. Can you explain what land banks are and how will they help the community?
That's a great question. And most people unfortunately have sometimes a negative thought about land banks because of the Detroit Land Bank, where there were issues in the city of Detroit, and they were just overwhelmed with property. And there have been a lot of problems there. I think they're starting to iron it out. But land banks themselves can be a force for good. They are like an economic development tool for the county. We can actually take things into the land bank. We are very strategic about what we're taking into our land bank and very intentional about what we're taking into our land bank. We don't have a lot of properties in there right now. Oakland County, we are blessed overall, but we can be intentional on housing. We've already started to work on some projects for some housing and attainable housing in Pontiac, but it's not just about housing. While that's one of the most important things, but it's also about economic development. So we're actually working with some entities, one in Farmington, there was one in Oak Park, possibly in Commerce, that we're working with on economic development. And so this is something where we can help actually businesses within our community. Once it comes into the land bank, it automatically qualifies for brownfield credits. There's other tax incentives. So this is something that could be a game changer here in Oakland County. So I was happy to actually have an Oakland County for the first time ever here, and have a land bank for the first time ever in Oakland County.
Thank you, Mr. Wittenberg. Ms. Kuhn?
Yes, because it is relatively something new in Oakland County, and it does have a very bad rap in Wayne County, Detroit, with the issues that he started talking about. It's not real well known, but I know for instance, the Summit Place Mall on Telegraph Road, that whole mall, I think, goes to Oakland County, or Oakland County bought it because it's close to the county headquarters, and it's many, many acres of a former shopping center that are now bulldozed down. And what are you going to do with stuff like that? Is it going to just sit and not have taxes collected? Are we going to rebuild it or sell it off? There's so many questions and issues that I certainly don't know the answers to them. But I think that the economic development at the small levels going up to the medium and the large levels are something that we need to have opportunities to have people be aware that they can be helped through these land banks and through economic development.
Thank you. Ms. Kuhn, you are first with this question. Can you provide some information or data on Oakland County's pension liability now and projected into the future, perhaps even 20 or 25 years in the future?
Yes, I think that's one of the things that Oakland County does not have a problem with, because we have funded our pensions, we're funding our obligations and our responsibilities. There's other cities that don't have that luxury or that don't have that financial integrity that they've built up over years. But I know that the pensions in Oakland County start, I don't know if it's 30 years and out or whether it's elected or what it is, but I know that the pension program is very sound and secure and there for anybody in Oakland County, whether it's in the Sheriff's Department, the Road Commission, anything like that. They will be getting their pensions, and there's not a problem, and there will not be a problem.
Thank you. Mr. Wittenberg?
Yeah, and by virtue of the office, the treasurer sits on our retirement board, and so that is correct. And I'm happy to say that we are fully funded, actually over 100% funding. And so we have our defined benefit side, so our actual pension, and then our defined contribution side, which is like a 401k or 457 at the county. The pension closed in, I think it was 1994, so employees that got in prior to that could be still in the old system. Anyone after that is in the defined contribution system. And so the defined benefit, that pension, is kind of what we're talking about obviously now, the defined contribution. We are in charge of making sure the investments are good and that people are earning the interest on their money. But at the end of the day, that's their money. But the defined benefit plan, that pension plan, is something that we've worked really hard on. And so we actually, at the county, we even have, on top of that, we have a superseding trust that we put together, which is almost like a backstop, which now has, I think, about $27 million on it. So yes, we want to make sure that anyone that puts their time in and works here at the county, that they have, financial security and dignity in retirement, and that's what we're doing on the retirement board.
Thank you. This will be the last question. We have some large, empty, ugly areas in this county that used to be beautiful. The Silver Dome, Summit Place Wall. What's your vision? What do you see happening there that will affect our tax, improve our taxes, and also take care of the blight?
So it's a great question, and ultimately, it's important, to get these back to a productive use because they are helpful within the county, not only, if they're providing jobs, but also providing a tax base to help, offset the taxes that everybody else is paying in the county. The Silver Dome, that area actually is under development already. There are some developments that are happening there. The area by the county, our county office at the 1200 building, that is privately owned. So we actually do not own that. It says like Oakland County Business or something, but I think that's a little misleading because it's not the county that owns it. It's just the name of the private company that has it. And there actually are some developments that are already happening there. I think it's DTE or Consumers, one of the DTE has a place they've developed there. There's something else that's going in that is kind of hush-hush. We have no idea what it is, and we've all speculated in our office, and we see that going in. So there is development that's happening, but it's really important, and I think that's sometimes where the land bank can come in, is because we can help in some of these blighted areas and some of these brownfields that we can help with the development to lower their cost and get these developments spurred and moving quicker.
Thank you. Ms. Kuhn?
Yes, I wanted to just say a personal thing about my city of Troy. We had the global world headquarters of Kmart in downtown Troy, and Sears bought out Kmart and it moved to Chicago, and here we have this wonderful, wonderful building that sat vacant for 10 years, 15 years. Could not be reused. No one wanted to buy it. So eventually it was razed. It was ground. It's gone. The property is key, absolutely key, because it's in downtown Troy. We now have been marketing that property because of its location, and we have a client that is a healthcare company that is taking 40% of that property. And I think anything that is a blight that is in an area, it just has to be refigured, look at it from another point of view, and see if you can market it, talk to developers, and see what you can do. Once the first one comes in, the next ones will follow. So that's the good news.
Thank you, Ms. Kuhn. That concludes our time for questions. The candidates will now be given 1 minute to make a closing statement in the reverse order of the opening statement. So we begin with Ms. Kuhn.
Yes, again, Sue Kuhn Cares that's my political literature, and my colors are red, white, and blue, and I'm patriotic, and I love our country, I love our county, I love my city, and grateful that League of Women Voters is having our candidates night tonight. Their brochure that comes out with our 1,000 words is going to be coming out pretty soon, and that was something that I worked very hard on because we had 1,000, not words, letters, 1,000 letters for introduction and then 1,000 letters for 3 issues. And so I just want to thank the League of Women Voters. And again, proud baby boomer, work ethics with high energy to get the job done, ready, willing, and able to work for you in the treasurer's office to hit the ground running. Thank you very much. I appreciate your vote August 6th.
Thank you. Mr. Wittenberg?
Thank you very much, and I'll be more mindful of my time on my closing statement more so than I was on my opening. I apologize, but thank you again to the League of Women Voters. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. It is so important to be informed. I'm asking for your vote again to continue the work that we're doing here at the county. All those things that I've highlighted, I think, really speaks to the work that we're doing within this office that have been my priorities, making sure that people are able to stay and thrive in our communities, making sure that your county government is run efficiently and transparently. So all the different things that we're doing in our office, again, I've said this before, but, balancing that accountability with compassion is that we make sure people are taken care of within our community. And that's something that I've been looking out for within our office. And so I would ask for your vote. If you want more information, you can go to my website, robertwittenberg.com. I do not have a primary opponent, thankfully, so I'm on the August ballot, but I will be the Democratic candidate on the ballot in November, and I hope that you will consider me when you vote in November. But regardless of whether you vote for me or not, make sure you vote.
Thank you. We will now take a short break so that we can seat the candidates for Water Resources Commissioner. We will resume in 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.